Welcome to another episode of Dirty Dane Thrifts. Today we're going to be checking out Super Bloopers Volume 1. As you can see, at some point it cost $5.99 at Eaton's. Radio and television's most hilarious boners. 2-album set. Stereo can also be played on mono. Censored. Here's the back. It's from KTEL. I got it for $1. Kermit Schaefer's latest and greatest Super Bloopers. Here's a word about this 2-album set, if you'd like to read it. And it's distributed by KTEL International Limited from Winnipeg, Canada and Montreal, Canada. Manufactured by Keel Record of MFG of Canada Limited, Ajax, Ontario, 1967. Made in Lithoden, Canada. Woo! Look at that. This is old. Not that old, but, old enough. I love the pink. This is the label. Look how puffy the label is. It's over time, it's kind of puffed out. Apparently, this is a limited collector's edition. Anyway, let's hear the first 10 minutes or so.
America. Starting next week at the Paramount Theater, you will see that rollicking comedy smash hit Paleface, starring Bob Hope, America's favorite comedian, and lovely Jane Russell. Boy, what a pair!
Listen now to this classic moment from an audience participation human interest program.
And now our next contestant was chosen right from our studio audience. And listen to that little laugh she has there. It's so cute. Now, what's your name, ma'am?
Hilda Johnson.
Well, Miss Johnson, you don't mind if I call you Hilda, do you? That laugh. Where are you from, Hilda?
I'm from Milwaukee.
Wonderful. Well, Hilda, what are you going to do with the money if you win?
I have a very sick son.
Listen to this disc jockey's introduction to Montavani's Lazy Gondolier.
Designs in Music continues now as we hear Montavani's most recent recording from London, Lousy Gondolier.
Let's listen now to a commercial for McPeter's Funeral Parlor.
And friends, your loved ones can receive no finer care than that offered by McFuneral's Peter Parlor.
And now we switch you to police headquarters downtown for further developments on the Mary Harkness case.
This is Police Sergeant Edward O'Reilly. The parents of Mary Harkness have asked the police to search for their daughter, who has been missing since 6 p.m. yesterday. She was last seen wearing a blue sweater, gray skirt. Mary is 99 years old and weighs 9 pounds.
Writer Clifford Irving entered the federal penitentiary at Lewisburg, Pennsylvania yesterday to begin a 2.5-year jail sentence in the Howard Hughes automobile in the hoax.
A French-Canadian announcer blooped his way through this one.
This is the Dominion network of the Canadian Broadcoping Castration.
You can save while you earn. Why not be smart? Where you work or where you bank, save up for a rainy day. Join the Blonde a Month plan.
The most wonderful thing about this new DuPont paint is that it leaves no annoying panty odor.
A young lady on a children's program relating the story of Cinderella came up with the following.
Suddenly, Cinderella looked up at the clock. It was striking 12. As she ran from the palace, she dropped her slipper. But when she reached the door, she was again in rags as the wee bitching hour struck.
Sometimes an announcer can get a cue prematurely. He may not be ready for it. Here is an example of the consequences.
In Washington, General Bradley's speech today was one of several interesting news developments dealing with our military defenses. Here's a summary by Gunner Back. We seem to be unable to contact Washington at this time. Let's try once again. Our cue to Washington is here is a summary by Gunner Back. Sorry, we seem to be unable, for some inexplicable reason, to contact correspondent Gunner Back in Washington, even as we have contacted him every night for the past 8 years. Well, now then, to the nation's sports fans, the biggest news in quite a while is building tonight in Chicago, where world heavyweight champion Rocky Marciano is about to meet that challenge from ex-champ Jersey Joe Walcott. We sent correspondent Tom Casey to the weighing-in ceremonies today, and he recorded this report at that dramatic scene. Well, Mother told me there would be days like this. Shall we try once again for Chicago? Calling Tom Casey in Chicago. Our cue is this report at that dramatic scene. Unfortunately, we had been told earlier today that Tom Casey had recorded a very fascinating report at the weighing-in ceremonies in which he had the voices of both Joe Walcott and Rocky Marciano. Let's see what else we have in the news to talk about this evening on a memorable headline edition, at least to me. Suppose we come back to you in just a moment or two. On this cue, I'll be back in a minute with more news.
Headline Edition is one of over 60 top ABC news shows brought to you each week by a distinguished staff of reporters, analysts, and commentators. ABC specializes in swift, accurate, and complete reporting of the latest happenings here and abroad. That kind of news coverage doesn't just happen. A trained newsman fills in the coloring that brings the event to life, but it takes an experienced correspondent to know how that event fits the overall news pattern. Now, here again is Headline Edition.
With portions transcribed. What portions? That's today's Headline Edition.
Here's a moment from one of your favorite quiz programs.
The answer to this question is famous author Alexander.
Question. Now, there was a famous French author. In fact, there was a father and son who wrote many, many famous stories. Now, we want the name of the father. He is a man who wrote The Black Tulip, After 20 Years, and The Three Musketeers. What is the name of this famous French author?
I got it in the tip of my tongue.
Come on.
Let me see. Oh, Alexander Dumbass. Oh, Henry Dumbass.
Let's listen to this recipe for crisp crab salad.
And for all you guests here at the lunchtime matinee, we have a real treat in store. A crisp, crabbed,
Our next subject, Mr. Anthony, is Mrs. G.J. of the Bronx. She finds great humiliation in the fact that her parents constantly castigate her husband.
What is your problem, madam?
Well, it concerns my husband.
Would you step closer to the microphone, please, and speak louder?
All right. My husband, we've been happily married for 14 years, and I just don't know what's happened. All of a sudden, I don't know how to explain it, but suddenly my husband pays no attention to me, and I try.
Would you please get to the point, madam?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Anthony, I will. Well, it seems that yesterday my father came down and he castrated my husband about the subject.
I understand your problem, madam.
Well,
I know. Now, will you hold 1 second,
no, I
please?
figured my father was a man and my husband was a man.
1 second, please, madam. One moment, please. Madam, 1 moment.
I'm sorry.
On a science program, a learned professor was demonstrating the principles of friction.
Now, I take my ball bearings here, and I put them at the top of the ramp, and I roll my balls down the ramp. Now, you see, they are no longer in a state of inertia. They are moving. There's gravity involved, and there's the friction involved. But once you get into movements, you have a different set of controls entirely. All your movements are controlled by physics.
Friday is poultry night, remember. All ladies present will get a free goose. That is, all ladies will get a goose for free.